Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll be going through my AFL SuperCoach Round 8 team with the trades as well as the VC and captaincy and sort of the reasoning behind my trades. Getting already down almost near half trades used for the year. It is getting bleak, I would say, but we are sort of making headway in that. There are some lucky turns that have probably gone my way in the last week that other people will be able to take more advantage of than me, because one guy is 498k, which is very, very cheap for what he's going to probably produce. But at least he should be able to turn it around now for the sake of my side. But anyway, before we jump into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this video. So, as you can see here, you've got Whitfield, Sinclair, Zorko, Roberts all in the back line, as well as Sheasel in the midfield that can translate into a backline guy. So that means that next week I do have the ability to get Bice and to get Reed out of the side. I think it will be coming soon now, Reed out of the side, even though he will probably put up scores. He's just so volatile that I think he needs to go, to be honest with you. And then we put Sheasel down back, and then that means that I've got Roberts at D5 and Bice at D6, which I'm pretty happy about. And then the midfield line, it can start getting its upgrades in another week or two, I think, in the long run, as that's the way I'll go. It's also just sort of dependent on how these rookies with cash, sort of, if you can get to a guy. Like, there's a lot of guys I can easily get to in that sort of 498, 500k range that would that can sit in the midfield for a week or two and just sort of help me get up to the guys there. But there's not many midfielders that I like at the sort of 500k range at the moment that I can really get up to, I have a feeling. So yeah, it'll be interesting is what I'm saying, but we'll see how that sort of plays out in a little bit, I guess. So having said all that, the trades for this week, and you're probably going to wonder why. Levi and also Jackson Pryor out. Pryor's got a 33 break even, but I just needed the cash to be able to get to Petrarca, because I don't think Chad Warner will be top of the line necessarily. Even though he's averaged sort of 100 or so in that position, Track's averaged 120 and is already 5 points better than the likes of Chad. And he does have West Coast coming up, does the likes of Petrarca, whereas Chad doesn't really have climb matchups and a potential tag coming up against Bedford. So yeah, I don't really like it as much. Although, having said that, Petrarca has only gone a 129, so I could actually just I just want to check with Chad what are his stats there, because if he does return to a sort of midfield role, if we go to career stats and SuperCoach, he's averaged 103 in that role before. If we look at his season stats here, and let's just look at them, because he does have a sub out 54 against North Melbourne. That probably won't happen again. And then his lowest is a couple of 70s, but then also the big one, a couple of big 120 games as well. So you could just go straight to Chad Warner and sort of just say, I don't care about the potential tag game coming up. And then that would also save me a trade as well. And not going early on Henry Huswaite could be interesting. That's intriguing. That could be a trade that I end up flipping back to if I don't like it, to be honest with you. But yeah, and also Levi Ashcroft could actually go from a Zach Reed, I'm pretty sure. And then that'll give me enough cash, I think, next week. But then Zach Reed has some cash to make, doesn't he? With like a 12, 14, 48 break even. So yeah, maybe Zach Reed is the one to go at the moment, actually. And just sort of wait on Levi a little bit. But Zach Reed does have North Melbourne. That could be a positive matchup. So yeah, that'd be an interesting decision to be made today, to be honest with you, on that. But yeah, we'll see. So the reasoning behind that is now I've got as I said, the back line, the midfield, still got the two rookies here in Lindsay and Huswaite. Huswaite looks good. Hopefully he gets 3, if not 4 games, you would expect, given how good he's been in the VFL, that he gets an extended run. And yeah, hopefully he can get to that first price rise, because if he can get to the first price rise with 70 scores, if we just go 70 for the next couple, you'll see that that first price rise is 59k, and then you'd hope he gets another price rise, because if he does, he gets to 220k, and 220k guys are just a whole lot easier to trade with than the sort of 180, 190k guys. So yeah, and it's also holding out hope that a Clay Hall can get selected. But if Clay Hall doesn't get selected this week, because he's got a -10 break even, I could actually just go early on in him, trading him out, because then next week it's a little bit easier to trade out a Zach Reed and a Pryor than it is to trade out a the likes of a Clay Hall at 187k, because you're only really getting 60k difference there alongside the cash gen. So I'd have about 200k on a Zach Reed or something like that, comparative to, or about, it'd be about 210, 220k on Zach Reed, in comparison to Zach Reed and say a Jackson Pryor. And yeah, you'd have, I think, roughly you would expect another about 10k to play with, given the cash generation of Jackson Pryor, who we expect to make cash. Because if we go to Pryor here, and we go here to Pryor, if he scores a 65, as it said there, he goes up 14k or so. So yeah, if we just say he's going to score even a 60, he goes up 11k. Also, I don't think that's necessarily right, is it? Yeah, if he scores a 60, he goes up probably about 12k. And that extra 12k is just, it can be very, very influential, because that could be the difference between getting easily up to like an Isaac Rankin or something at this point. So that's the reason why I'm contemplating whether on selections, whether Hall or someone like that goes. I think Gross will get more games, so I don't think I should be trading him out. But Hall seems to be a little bit behind the pecking order a little bit, but hopefully he gets games, because if he can get one more game, it just makes it so much easier to trade him out. Like, if he just goes and gets 2 more games of 60, suddenly he's 235 or 236k, and that makes him 110k up, which 110k up plus a rookie, if you have a little bit of cash in hand, you can get to a 530 guy very, very easily, it feels like. Maybe I'm a little bit wrong on that, but yeah, he just starts to generate a little bit of cash if he can get 1 or 2 more games in the actual AFL side. So I put Boyd here at the moment. That could obviously change, but he's the easy one to sort of loop with a little bit. And I can also just set up the loop here with Henderson, who we don't expect to play. So I can loop who plays first out of... I will loop with Hewitt, because I might as well do that. I might as well take advantage of an easy sort of stress-free loop potential with... it actually isn't a stress-free loop, as I've just realized. So Hewitt back there. As I thought it was stress-free, but in fact, they both play at the same time, and Cleary doesn't play beforehand, so that loop cannot be used. So disregard that. And if somehow, I might as well put the emergency on Cleary if somehow one of these guys doesn't play, as that would just be an easy, he's gonna play, so he will at least get some points back. And might as well take an emergency off of Camporelli at least and put it onto Stone just in case. So yeah, that is the team at the moment. Looking at trades for the next week, someone like potentially Reed to a Reed plus what's Hall at the moment. So Hall's at 187, Reed's at 298k. So 298.4 plus 187.1 equals 485.5 plus the 143 flat that I have is 628.5k. 628.5k gets me very, 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 very close to going the likes of a Isaac Rankin in for a Zach Reed. I know that looks weird. And then I just have to find a rookie on the bubble, preferably not a defender, because that would mean that Hewitt would go out of the side. I'm pretty sure. Wait, no, I can just put a I can just put someone in the midfield here, and then that would work there. And then it would take, hopefully, basically a Zach Reed's spot there, and then you'd have a Hustwaite battling with or a Hewitt battling with a Hustwaite alongside a full primo mid sort of forward line as well. And then we get to the 2 upgrades here, I think would be effectively what it is, or it'd turn this one into 3 upgrades, and then this one would be full alongside this line would have just Bice left. So yeah, I'm hopeful that I'm getting close to being at least full mid-price / upper end, also lower end primo and primos, because I do have the likes of Roberts, Oliver, and Flynn there. But if these guys can keep on producing, then they don't need to be upgraded. Like, yes, is it really worthwhile if Flynn can somehow continue it, is it really worthwhile upgrading him for like 10 points per game, unless it's really deep in the sort of season at the moment, because he's just making so much cash, and he'll go close at the rate he's going to go close to being a top of the line ruckman somehow, but that can all change in a week. And Roberts looks to have somewhat of a form back, so he's going to start making cash and look more like a premium guy in the 500k range. If he can go and score a 110 plus score again, if he can go and do that, another 110 plus, like if he goes 115 for the next 2 weeks, which is something I think he could do, he gets up to 532k, and suddenly you've got Whitfield's Sinclair Zorko should react, I would think, backwards, back to it. He's got a 130 break even and is 516k, but you would expect in the next couple of weeks him to sort of get back to that 115 range, 120 range. But if he can go back to 120 range, then I've got, I think, 3 guys. I would have, if he goes 120, 120, he would be 530.6k again. And so I'd have 4 guys, 530k, plus also so I'd have 530 plus k defenders already, which would be huge. And then it'd just be finding the midfield options, the midfield underpriced guys. And if we're just looking at that quickly here, we go midfielders, and we sort of, let's put this 460 plus, and then we go by sort of maybe ownership or something like that. You'll see Rankin's a guy I need to look at. Holmes, don't really think so. Rosie, another, bring him potentially back in, but he's definitely a guy that I should be considering. I wish I hadn't traded him out. Wish I'd traded Oliver out. It would have looked a lot better, I felt like, and I would feel like I'd only have 7 upgrades needed rather than 8. Potentially even locking Neil and guys like Rowell, etc. there. And even guys like Josh Dunkley is a guy that I could be targeting in the next 2 weeks or so. If we just have a look at this, if we just go Josh Dunkley 110 next week, look at this here. He's going to be 535k, and that could be a very, very Josh Lindsay type up. Josh Lindsay and let's do, so round 11, let's say he's 535k that I've got to get to, and I get a 119k rookie. So that is, what's that? 544k, 554k. So 654k I've got to get to from the likes of Hewitt and Lindsay by round 11. So what they are at the end of round 10. So if we go Hewitt averaging 75, he gets up to 313k in that time frame. And then you've got also the likes of Lindsay averaging, say, 80, which I think he can do. He gets up to 323k. So that is 635k, give or take. And we said that we needed 654k. So I'd need 20k in the bank to be able to get Dunkley from Lindsay and Hewitt. Yeah, that's a massive haul, I feel like, and that is reasonable in a couple weeks' time. So that is someone that I'm looking at, and those are the type of plays that I'm looking at if he just goes like that. Whereas if he has one bad game and then shoots back up, then suddenly I feel like he's going to be a guy that could be, even if he goes down to even just 520k, or we get a 99k rookie somehow pop out of somewhere, then that's what I'm looking for there with the midfielders there. So yeah, if we go even just this, I think, and then there's sort of looking at these guys that are really, really cheap. So Soligo's gone cheap. Crouch is out. Will Ashcroft's had a bad couple of games. Langdon, yeah. So Josh Dunkley, Chad Warner, guys like that. Rowbottom somehow up there. Doesn't matter with him. Even guys to a certain, Rory Laird's not going to matter, I don't think. Paddy Cripps returning to form. No one else here really. Even guys like a Noah Anderson is potential for that type of area. He's got a 130 break even, and so he's going to be around that 530k price bracket. Tom Green as well, another guy that could potentially, he might get tagged as well, so he might be in that price bracket as well. Tuke Miller, I don't think so. Hugh McCluggage could potentially drop dramatically and be around about that price. And then also Isaac Heaney, if he gets some help in that midfield, could be an interesting guy to grab as well, as we start to consider the buys as well as and trying to stay away from guys that are trading into guys that are on the buy, etc. As Dunkley is on the, if we go to Dunks, what buy is he on? Because I wouldn't probably want to trade him straight into a potential. He's got the round 16 buy, so that is a perfect guy to trade into that can play throughout the buys. And then you'd be gaining a lot more value out of trading him in round 11 and then sitting in round 12, etc. So that is basically the side and sort of how I'm looking at getting guys like Rankin next week, then potentially some other midfielder and Dunks the week after that, etc. And how I'm just sort of structuring myself up to be able to get there. And how, I might look at, I'm hoping that Clay Hall plays, because if Clay Hall plays, it makes this whole getting the likes of Rankin next week a whole lot easier, because 298.4k plus 10.3 plus 143 plus 187.1k is 638k. That'll be easy to get to the likes of a Rankin, but extremely easy if Clay Hall plays and gets the extra 28.7k, because that would leave me with 667k. And yeah, that would just make it a whole lot easier. And I'd have much cash in the bank to be able to facilitate potentially a Josh Dunkley or another move the week after that as well. But anyway, that is the video there. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys back here for another video soon. Bye guys.